Hi Year 10. Hopefully you got on okay with yesterday's work. I haven't had a chance to look through them yet to check that, but I plan to during this lesson whenever you're doing this. So make sure you do give me a shout if you are stuck on anything, okay? Now, open up your notes for me please at page 53. The work that we're doing today is basically the same as what we did yesterday, but we're going to take it a little step further and we're going to plot the graphs as well. So if you remember, all line graphs have an equation, and that is the rule for that line. And what that means is that every single point on that line, the relationship between the x coordinate and the y coordinate is the same. Okay, so like for this one here that we're going to be doing, the equation of the line is y equals 2x. That means that for every x value, the y value is going to be double it. It's going to be 2 multiplied by the x value. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. So we're being given an equation, and then we're being asked to plot the line of that equation. Now, the first thing we have to do is find some coordinates to plot. And to do that, we do it in this little table of values. Now, questions like this generally will give you it'll be stated something like this. So draw the graph of y equals 2x over the x value is minus 4 to 4. Now, there's a couple of wee rules that we have to follow here. They haven't given us the y values, or sorry, the x values, so we have to decide which ones we're going to use. And as long as you choose 3, you're fine. Okay, so that's the wee rule, because if you do 2 values, say you figure out one of your sets of coordinates wrong, well, you're always going to be able to join 2 points up with a straight line, even if one of them's wrong. Whereas if you have at least 3, then you should notice if one of them is like out of place, and then you'll be able to fix it. So a lot of the time pupils don't like it that they don't tell us what x values to use. Just pick whichever ones you want. So I'm going to do here, because it's telling us to go from minus 4 to 4, I'm going to go minus 4 and 4, and honestly I could pick anything in between here. I'm going to pick 0, right? I like doing 0 because I think it's an easy one to plot, but people often make mistakes quite a lot with zeros, so you might find 1 is actually an easier one for you to pick. It's up to you, but for now, for your notes, do it like this. So let's see, we have to figure out what coordinates we're going to be plotting. So we've picked our x values, and we have to find the corresponding y values of the coordinates. So we're always going to be using this little equation to do that. So whenever x is minus 4, which is here, we have to find the corresponding y value. Okay, so our equation is y equals 2x, but we're saying, right, we want to find y whenever x is minus 4. So y is 2 multiplied by minus 4. A bit shadowy here, sorry. And that gives me minus 8. Okay, so minus 4 correlates with minus 8. Now, what this tells me is that the coordinates I'm going to be plotting are minus 4, minus 8. Okay, let me see if I can sort out these shadows. Okay, I don't even know if that's any better, but anyway, next we have to find the corresponding y value for whenever x is 0. So when x equals 0, y equals 2x, so y is 2 times 0, which is 0, not 2. That's what I mean whenever I say lots of people make silly mistakes with zeros. Okay, so the coordinates that we will be plotting there are 0, 0. Right, next, whenever x is 4, y equals 2x, replace the x with 4, so 2 times 4 gives me 8. So it goes up there. Okay, so my coordinates are 4, 8. Now, next thing we have to do then is to actually plot the points on a bit of graph paper. So we make the table of values, and from this we plot the points, then join the points to form our line. Now, In our notes, we have some squared paper that we can use for this. It's on page 54. Now, annoyingly, there's an awful lot of flicking backwards and forwards here. So I'm just going to take these coordinates that we figured out that we're going to be plotting. I'm just going to write them at the top of the next page to save me from flicking backwards and forwards all the time. Okay, so here we go. These are our points that we have to plot. Now, get yourself a ruler and please use pencil. I'm using this pen just because it shows up better in these videos, okay? So, because we are plotting points in the negative as well, then we need to make sure our axes are like this. So if you draw your y-axis down the middle of your bit of squared paper, and then your x-axis across the middle. Ooh. Okay. Right. Now, our x values have to go from -4 up to 4. So let's think about that. If I go every 2 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then -1, -2, -3, -4. And then our y values have to go from -8 to 8. Let's see every square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lovely. So let's do that. Hopefully you're doing yours at the same time as me here. And remember, you can always pause to make sure you get it all done and unpause whenever you're ready. Okay, so we've got our axes ready. Next thing, all we have to do is to plot our points. So let's start with this one. X is -4 and y is -8. So -4, -8. Put a wee X. 0, 0 is here. And then 4, 8, 4, 8. There's our 3 points. They're going to give me a nice straight line. Get my ruler and join them up. Please make sure you're using a pencil because you're probably about to see me making a stupid mistake here. Hopefully not. Oh, get out of my way. Right. There. Now, can you start to get into the habit of labeling your lines? So do you remember we talked yesterday about how all the lines have a name and it's just their equation? Well, this one, remember, was the line y equals 2x. So to label it, you just write it beside the line so that it's obviously referring to that line. Okay, so that's the type of work that we're going to be doing today. Just like yesterday, your work is actually in your notes. So this is your exercise. It's on page 55. Now, it says here for questions 1 to 6, draw one set of axes. Use the same scale on both axes. Now, see in our example there, we didn't use the same scale on both because I used 2 squares for one here and 1 square for one there. This time it's telling us to make sure we use the same. In your wee classwork books, I would probably use 2 squares for one, right? Unless that ends up being far too big. I'm not going to be like angry if you use a different one, but whenever you're drawing graphs, if you have everything really tiny, it can actually be quite footery to work with and quite difficult to work with. So bigger is a wee bit better for graphs. Okay, so it tells you that we're going to be using x values between -4 and 4. So your axes are going to go from -4 to 4, and y values between -6 and 6. Well, your y might end up having to go more than that, actually, depending. Oh, okay. Make a table for each equation. So like we did last in this here, we had our table of values. And then, where am I? Using at least 3 x values and record the corresponding y values. Then draw the graphs and write the equation of the line somewhere on the line, just beside it somewhere. So just to make sure we're all okay, your axes are going to be like this. And it tells us that we have to go from -4 all the way up to 4 and -6 to 6. I'm not convinced that you won't have to go a wee bit further than that, you know, because look, y equals 2x. If you do 4, you're going to have to go up to 8. Yeah, so do these ones 8 and -8. Okay, so change that between -8 and 8. Right, so you're gonna end up here with 6 different graphs drawn. There's going to be lines everywhere. If that is too much for you, feel free to do like half of them on one and half of them on a different one. But just make sure you're labeling each one. Okay, now here's a wee hint for you to make sure you're going along the right lines. In these, your graphs are always going to be going up from left to right. So like that, some of them will be less shallow than others. Okay, so they're always going to be going up from left to right. But in these ones here, we're doing it on a new set of axes. So same again, do your table of values and draw your axes, do them all on the same one. And again, it tells us, change that from -8 and 8. Okay, so same again, you're going to have your set of axes in your class workbook, and you're going from -4 to 4 all the way up to 8 and all the way down to -8, please. Oh, okay, now here's my wee hint for this one. See, because of this negative sign here, you're going to end up going from left to right. Your graphs are always going to be going down from left to right in this one, and again, just like this, there'll be different angles, but these ones always going up if we're looking from left to right, and these ones always going down from left to right. So that's my wee hint for you, just so that you know if you're going along the right lines or not. Okay, I think that is everything from me. Give me a shout if you need any help. Okay, bye.